Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
Hey, listeners, welcome back to the Farm for Profit Podcast. This is Tanner.
Oh, this is Corey.
And this is David.
Wow, you actually let us introduce ourselves.
Oh, man.
It's almost like a throwback show.
It is.
Because it's been so long since we've had this guest on our podcast.
It has.
You know how we treat our episodes like your children? You're not supposed to have a favorite?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've been any more giddy to have a repeat guest on than I am right now.
Right now.
You seem super excited, Corey.
I am so excited. I'm so excited that she agreed to it. It's been a big day for us, a big time. We're in campaign season for Chief Tractor Officer.
Oh, we are.
So
yeah, and did you already make a promise with a certain can?
One of my campaign promises was to bring back the John Deere Busch Light Deere beer.
Yes.
So yeah, give me some music. I want to get her introduced so we don't waste any time. I don't want to waste a single minute.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, we can do that. We'll get you some good music. All right. Got to let it settle in just a little bit, Corey, would you?
Today on the Farm for Fun show, we have a repeat guest, and we are giddy for it. One of my favorite podcast interviews ever, one of my favorite social media follows. When this woman talks, you must listen. Our last talk, she was getting ready to send her daughter to college, and she just graduated her third year at the University of Iowa. She is the director of PR and socials for John Deere, has worked there for over 15 years. Wow. Her most recent masterpiece is leading her team into the Chief Tractor Officer campaign for John Deere, spearheaded by none other than our hero, Mr. Brock Purdy. Please welcome back to the show, Mrs. Jen Hartmann.
Wow. That is quite the introduction.
Welcome.
Yes, we will clip that and send it to you, and you can use it as your voicemail.
I feel like I need a legal disclaimer that says, my appearance on here does not in any way, shape, or form give Corey any kind of advantage.
Credit for CTO.
Right. What? No, wait a minute.
Hey, I'm in the running too, so you got two
Dave
different
is
people.
in the running, but he's like the independent candidate that has like 1 or 2%.
No, hold on. I thought the whole reason we were doing this is because it was going to give you a leg up on your campaign.
No. The disclaimer, this has nothing to do with the voting process. Brock is not reviewing this before he makes his decision. This is just cover Jen and what she's done.
Well, now I got to readjust all the notes.
We don't need notes. We don't need notes. So, Jen, welcome back to the podcast. It's been like 3 years?
You.
3 years.
Good to be here.
3 years. Your daughter just graduated her third year. That was a big deal last week, correct?
She did. That is correct. I'm not sure I've quit smiling ever since. It's been a great week.
So she have one more year?
She's done.
She
wrapped up the program she was doing in 3 years. So she'll be finding a place to live here in the Quad Cities, and then already got a job waitressing. So
awesome.
That is so cool.
If you guys want to learn more on that, we should get the date of her last show.
Sure, I can
pull it up.
You
can go listen to that because honestly, it was one of our best ones. Dave was not on that show, and he was mad because it's one of your favorites.
Yep,
we almost
listened to.
We almost told him not to show up today just to get him riled up again.
I missed the first. No, I'm just kidding.
So besides the CTO campaign, what have you been doing the last 3 years since the last time we talked to you?
Oh my gosh! I mean, what hasn't happened the last 3 years?
Yeah.
Last time I was on, we were talking about how I started this job right before COVID.
Yep.
And of course, the same year I talked to you was when the UAW went on strike.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So had a pretty intense couple months there. But I can tell you in hindsight, after COVID and the strike, I've definitely gained quite a bit of pain tolerance when it comes to managing issues and getting through some of those more stressful moments in my job.
You've become a little calloused.
I have. One of the first conversations I had when I started in this job was with a mentor who told me his one piece of advice is I would need to get pain tolerance. And that was definitely, I didn't understand it at the time, but I understand it now.
That's great.
March 15th, 2021. It was episode 139.
Okay.
Do you guys remember my favorite part of that episode? Because you weren't having me with you.
You chose not to come. It was in your office. But, okay.
Thanks, Dave.
One of Jen's quotes that I took away, and I've used it ever since, is when you're being social. We talked about social. Right? Don't worry about what you post. Just engage.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Dave's taking it to heart.
Yeah.
It's genuinely how you do social right.
That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, is your team look any different from 3 years ago? Has it grown, gotten more crazy?
I think the last time, because every once in a while I have to sit and count, I think we only have 5 people still.
That's nuts.
We do have a content creator on the team now, which has helped tremendously so that we can quickly turn things around and publish content more to address more timely topics.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a small but mighty team that, to the point you just made, Dave, is almost entirely focused on engagement as much as they can be.
So will the new CTO be a member of your team?
So it's a contract role for 1 year. They will feel like and be made to feel like they're part of our team. It'll be they'll be welcomed in just like any of the other social media team members. So we've got onboarding plans to get them acclimated very quickly so that we can start launching TikTok content with that CTO at the helm very soon.
Well, you could start that now. Corey's sitting right here. We could just start part of the onboarding
I don't think
process.
I'm going to be hired. I'm just going to say that now.
We're trying to find this, but I think we're actually talking to the QB of JD right now. like, okay, who do I take my orders from? Yes.
When are you guys picking? Is it like May 18th?
So we are in the process of narrowing candidates down, and our hope, and this is a hope, because we're not sure, until we select that candidate and determine their availability, our hope is that we'll be able to announce the CTO mid-June.
Oh, gosh,
so
dang.
that's the plan.
I have to get my campaign promises
updated.
Oh, boy.
I like that.
Well, I haven't got a flush letter yet, so that's a good sign, I guess.
Yeah.
Flush letter. I want to know how Jen would write a flush letter. She seems so nice.
I bet she's pretty good at firing if she needs to be. Let's rewind, though. Okay, when did that little seed of this CTO come into your mind?
Yeah. So you've probably seen me talking about it on Twitter well before this, but what was fascinating to me about our TikTok channel is that we did not have a single TikTok posted, right? And I talked about this quite a bit. I think I was even interviewed by one of the ad trade publications. And yet we had more video views on the hashtag John Deere than all brands except for 3 other brands.
Oh, wow.
I think Nike, Costco, and maybe Patagonia was ahead of us in terms of video views, or just videos that people had hashtagged John Deere.
Mm-hmm.
So my challenge to the team was that we already had so many people out there talking about our brand, primarily farmers, right? Primarily talking about their equipment. So my challenge to the team was I didn't want to enter the space as a brand unless we had something to add to it, because the farmer TikTok, the ag audience on TikTok is already very vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, if you're a brand and you're just going to talk about the company and talk about products, that is not how TikTok works. It's frankly how social, it doesn't work anywhere like that anymore. So my boss really started pushing me to take some more risks and be a bit bolder, knowing that we needed to stretch ourselves a bit more. And so we decided, why not launch this chief tractor officer? And we wanted it to do it so differently than other brands have. So other brands have announced like chief biscuit officer for Red Lobster, or the chief beer and pizza officer for Casey's. They announce these things, but then that's kind of it. They just, they search for it. They get PR. We wanted to genuinely find someone who would be the face and voice and content creator for our channel. And we wanted it to be from their point of view and not corporate or not the company. We wanted someone who would be discovering some of these stories and be just as surprised as the audience was. So it all just started to feel right, and we got all the right approvals internally, and took off from there.
So how long do you think from that first seed to announcing?
Yeah. 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long.
That also sounds like a long time.
Yeah, go ahead.
It also sounds like a long time.
Like, whose idea was it for Brock Purdy, though? That was genius.
Yeah.
You know what? Anyone today that is looking, any celebrity looking to have strong brand partnerships.
Yeah.
If you're non-problematic, you are golden, right? There aren't too many celebrities out there that don't have issues.
Right.
And with Brock being such a hero to the state of Iowa, and I talk in some of the interviews about this underdog story. People were, not really thinking he was going to do much in the NFL. For him to turn that around, and then when that viral post went around of him harvesting on his now in-laws farm, and just the reaction the world had to that, that's when that seed was planted. Like,
Gotcha.
Oh boy, maybe he could help us launch this idea for the chief tractor officer.
Yeah, what a deal he did by going back and sitting in that combine.
Yep.
For a short video.
Right.
I mean, probably, obviously, football changed his life, but this is changing his life too. I'm sure. So
that's his weekend. That's the weekend my son met him. He goes to the same church when they're back here, and that's when they were sitting right next to us. So
that's pretty cool.
He and his family could not be any nicer or more generous or more authentic. I will tell you, he did this partnership with us more just out of the fun of it.
Right.
This was just something that felt good from the get-go between his people and our people. It was a perfect match. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
It's still going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I said that I think it would be a lot of fun to review all the submissions. That would just be cool to see how creative somebody got, how non-creative somebody was, what angle they took to make themselves qualified. Was it Dave in a suit? Was it fully produced? I'm sure your team is enjoying this.
Oh, yeah. And our ultimate goal was we knew young people are getting detached from ag. We'll start with ag. This is going to include construction and turf as well. But we knew young people were getting very detached, right? They're not living in rural areas anymore. They're less familiar with how food ends up on their table. We want to hit them upside the head with the iconic places and people that our customers are impacting their lives. So we are looking for things like, I want that chief tractor officer in the gator when that gator comes out of the ivy wall at Wrigley Field. I want the chief tractor officer to not go out and visit the farmer that grows potatoes for McDonald's. I want him to walk into the McDonald's in Times Square in New York and introduce that farmer to people eating the French fries. We want him to show up, or her, at the Buffalo Bills stadium when there's a blizzard. Like, we want that person on a plane out at the stadium and with the maintenance crew when they're clearing that field. So we want it to be timely and very relevant to their lives. Because just going out and talking to farmers, you all know, you're in this business of content creation.
Yep.
You have to have people click on it.
Oh, yeah.
It is not enough to just publish it. I saw something from TikTok when we were in the process of developing this, that you have to spark curiosity first. You have to use unhinged storytelling to keep them hooked. And then you tell them the story. So Deere traditionally has started with farmers and told the story, right?
Right.
We're going to now spark curiosity with whoever it is that we hire to be the CTO, model off what some of the best YouTube personalities have done, right? Those thumbnails matter. Those headlines matter. I'm going to tell you a quick story. We, a couple years ago, sent John Deere employees out to farm rescue and shot some video, put it on YouTube. I think that video has 7,000 views now because it was a typical, nice, feel good. Farm Rescue is a great organization. We got to see it firsthand. This is amazing. We sent Zach Johnson out there last summer. He had the crazy headline, "You're never going to believe what happened to this farm."
Yeah.
He had 2.5 million views in the first 24 hours and was one of the top 10 trending videos on YouTube that day. So it's no longer enough to just tell good or nice stories. You have to grab people by the throat and pull them in because they're going to look at Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift content, right? They're looking at all the political dialogue that's happening and what the latest crazy thing is happening in that arena. So Deere needs to show up in a way that young people want to learn more.
Right. So how has that changed? Because I go back to this beer can, right? When I first had the Busch Light Combine wrapped, Deere wanted nothing to do with it because it had alcohol in it.
Yeah.
9-10 months later, they're asking me to put Deere copyrighted labels back on the thing, and because they're getting this beer can, so things have changed largely. Yes. Are you giving people way more leniency to do that? I want to call it risque. Well,
that's what I said in my video. Relatable.
Yeah.
Right.
I think what has happened, especially over the last several years, is Deere, like all brands, are really recognizing that it's a whole new world out there. It's not enough to be well known or to be 187 years old. In fact, that could even work against you.
Yep.
And in order for us to be relevant, our entire brand and communications team, which includes my group, is really looking to show up in different ways. And that Busch Light partnership was, I think, the spark that really launched a lot of the creative approaches we're starting to take, because we saw how well it was embraced. It was tied to fundraising for farm rescue. So we didn't veer off, John Deere's purpose or what we're trying to do in the ag space. And it reached a whole new market of folks that maybe didn't know about us before.
So now I can grab you by the throat and be okay, Tanner. You'll never believe Corey choked Tanner.
I can't get far enough away from you. Your arm's still long enough.
So your entire, what is it, 15 years plus now?
Yeah.
So this whole year will be defined by CTO probably for you. Nobody probably asked you anything but that.
What's interesting is my job's really fun because I manage PR and social media, which, by the way, I feel so blessed that Deere is set up that way, because a lot of companies have social media and marketing. So I get to work with the social team, do a lot of these fun activations, whether it was the Busch Light campaign or now this search for CTO. But I'm also managing another team globally on any issues that are facing the company or our customers, or inquiries about earnings, or we have, there's severe floods right now in South Brazil that has impacted a few of our factories. So I'm also working in a very serious business space half the time and get to, have some fun on the side with our social team.
Is it pretty much 50-50 in your day?
Yeah, I would say so. I just recently met with some folks and said it's probably, I feel like my job is 60% protect, 40% promote.
Okay.
So even the social team, every morning our social team has a huddle, and they are looking across all the social channels, and we have someone assigned to each channel. And we are looking at tone of voice from farmers. For instance, I have a vested interest in Twitter. I own that channel, and if there's a drought happening or planting isn't going the way it should be, we are not going to post anything kitschy, or we're going to tone down being silly for the day. If there is news coming out that could be impacting any of our industries, or a big serious event that's happened in the country, every morning we kind of analyze all the channels, see what's happening, and make sure that we don't inadvertently step in it. And that's why I love PR and social being on the same team. Because if you're just thinking about marketing, you're just thinking about pushing out products, and you're not thinking about, we might not want to publish anything today, and end up making Deere look really inconsiderate or not aware of what's happening with its customers.
Right. So you're saying the other day when Corey was complaining about how much rain he's gotten and the fact that his planting progress has gone backwards.
You noticed Deere didn't put anything silly out that day.
They didn't.
There's got to be a trend. It's not enough for one person.
Oh,
yeah.
But if we see a trend, we're definitely making sure we're responding.
Guys, that's half the reason I bought a farm this year is because I get to sell it all the time. But I want to feel, I want to hurt,
pain.
I want to know what that feels like, so that I don't misrepresent or say the wrong thing on my side of the world for selling farmland.
So what I've witnessed out of a lot of the CTO posts is there's a lot of companies that would enjoy the opportunity for a brand partnership with Deere. I'm not going to sit here.
One of my that is one of my biggest goals of this. Is I hope this goes so well. Brands are coming to us. You all know brands today, especially in the food space, are purposefully tying themselves back to where the food came from. Mm-hmm. So if you go to the Cheerios website, you're going to see the farmer rubbing the oats between his hands, and you order Domino's, it's all over their packaging. Culver's. You saw Casey's engaging with us a lot. We had Casey's engage with us. We had Martha Stewart's people reach out to us when we announced the CTO. We had Carhartt engaging with some of our content. I had someone who works with Ryan Reynolds reach out, who's the rep for him, reach out and say, because a lot of the people in my Twitter universe are marketing people. So they either represent brands or work with celebrities. So I had a lot of DMs coming in.
Yeah, have you gotten yourself unburied from all those DMs yet?
Can we all just... Twitter DMs suck because it's just so much. We need AI to start helping me sort through it, because I have so many, cold calls or, spamish DMs that sometimes it's hard to sort through it. But yeah, we've gotten through them. And then we've made a wish list. We've made a wish list of the brands we'd like to do something with. And, we're hoping those things pan out as this starts to launch and take off.
Well, hey, if you need a podcast platform to help you with some of those co-brands, we could wear that racing suit with a bunch of different patches
I'm
on.
so glad to hear her say that, because I actually read the CTO fine print, right? Yeah. Because I wanted to make sure I was being on brand with John Deere and not doing something I was supposed to. And in there, I can't tell it verbatim, but said something about you will only promote John Deere and John Deere owned companies and no one else. And I was like, oh boy, I kind of wanted to play on the Casey's brand, but then I just went off on my own and did my own stuff. So
I think that one is to prevent competitive machinery and equipment.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Because Corey wanted to order a pizza button in John Deere
I got
Ops
Casey's on there. I got Busch Light. I've got another one coming out with a shoe company, possibly.
There's also your Souk Up grain bins were in your application video.
Well, yeah, but that was just my background. But I will tell you now, because it'll be out by the time the show comes out. I was going to say New Balance should a pair of New Balance dad shoes should come with every push mower that John Deere
mower that John Deere puts out.
Every mower that John Deere sells.
You know what? What I'm most excited about is that this new CTO and our TikTok platform will allow us to engage with brands or celebrities that Deere might not have otherwise formed a formal partnership with.
Right.
So, I started this conversation talking about non-problematic celebrities. there's a lot of folks that either farm or use our equipment that we as a brand might not have a formal partnership with, but the CTO could sure go and visit that farm and talk to them about what they're growing, why John Deere, or even someone who uses our mowers. So I'm excited about the people that might show up on this channel that our audience would never expect.
That's what I love about Deere so much is, like you said, people are getting further and further away from ag, but Deere has stayed, I think, a household name because of your branding. You know, whether you're a kid living in the inner city, you still like tractors, right?
Yeah.
You still like. I know I got a buddy that owns a roofing company, has never had ag in his life. He bought an old John Deere Model B because his kid loves tractors so much. Loves watching YouTube tractors. But then, like you said, there's construction, there's turf, there's so many different industries. That's not just ag. That's what's cool about Deere.
Well, we had that when we were out at World Ag Expo. That couple that was out there, they just came so their kids could see the tractors, and that's the only reason they were at the John Deere booth.
Yeah.
Well,
have you all seen the stories about Rick Ross?
Is that the painter guy? No.
No,
Bob
Ross.
And musician, rapper.
Yep.
He bought a Vander Holyfield's mansion.
Okay.
In Georgia, and he went out and bought a huge, like a commercial John Deere mower, a tractor actually, and just bought the attachments to mow this, huge yard. And he talks about, and I had a call with him. He talks about the fact that when he was growing up in Miami, and all of his friends wanted the hip hop car and the hydraulics. He, in his mind, made up his mind that someday when he had a John Deere tractor, he would know he made it.
Really?
So for him, right, living in Miami, in a cultural space that isn't near ag, decided that having a John Deere tractor would be a sign of his success. So I want to say there was an article in Rolling Stone magazine about him mowing his own yard and using this tractor to do so.
You have to get some spinners on that thing.
Gonna have to add hydraulics.
I sat on a plane with a guy once and asked him, "What is your American dream?" But he lived downtown New York City. He said, "Someday I want my own toolbox and I want to change my own oil." And I'm thinking, "What? You can come change my oil whenever you want." But it's so diverse across the country of what people's expectations are. Similar to your story there, he just wanted to change oil.
Yeah.
I'm thinking here, this new CTO, as part of their orientation, needs an interview on Farm for Profit.
Definitely.
We need to do a Farm for Fun with the new CTO.
That'll be easy when Corey gets the job.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
it's really
and
easy.
I gotta say,
I know the guy we can ask. So.
I gotta say, Brian promised us that we get to interview Brock at some point.
Yeah.
So you gotta make that happen.
Did.
Yeah. So you need to make that happen. So.
Okay. Well, that would be cool if you could have the CTO and Brock on the same show.
That would be
there.
Awesome.
We go.
Oh wow, we would probably talk forever. I don't know if we'd ever let the show in.
Just an ongoing show. Is Brock going to be out at the John Deere Classic golf tournament?
He's not. He wasn't available.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
We're excited.
Good to see you.
Well, Tanner should be playing in the Pro-Am because he's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
actually,
Jen, you want to help me with that?
Our CTO will be out there.
Oh boy.
So that's one of the
better
first
start practicing.
content assignments. So
Yeah. No
that
kidding.
didn't make it in my CTO campaign video, but we have a golf simulator in the studio, so I can practice. Just letting you
there
know.
you go.
Just letting you know. I can practice.
Do you know how hard it's going to be to not choose Corey?
She's like, it's going to be pretty easy. It's already made up in her mind. Well, if the lawyers tell her that I can't be in, then I can't be in, right?
That's right.
I'm lips are sealed here.
Lips are sealed.
How much will Brock have a play in actually picking it, or will he have any play?
Right now, there's no plans to have Brock involved in the selection. We're actually going to be working with Just Jackson.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I think he even announced it already that we're going to have the CTO go through orientation with him on all things tractors. So,
He's awesome, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely.
We interviewed him in November?
Months ago.
December?
Yeah.
Brian texted us and was like, "You guys should have him on your show." I was like, "Well, actually, Brian, here's the show."
We've already done it, too. We've already had him.
I guess we were ahead of the curve.
Finger
on that
right
one.
on the
You
pulse.
all were way ahead
Yeah.
of the Commodity Classic content that went viral.
Yeah, that's what we love about doing what we do. We have a lot of pre-recorded shows, but when we see something, we will jump on it and be able to get that out quick.
Speaking of, I just got a report sent to me. I'm going to see if I can share my screen with you.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Let's see here.
This is so funny.
Which file?
This is a big old spoof.
What's a big old spoof?
You and my CTO campaign. What are you trying to do here?
Oh, it's not even going to let me.
You share your window.
There you go.
There we go. We want to, we'll jump right into this document. So we have been tracking the polling results for Corey's CTO campaign. And just wanted to let you know, we're focusing on the Midwest because obviously that's going to be where a large majority of this.
Oh, my gosh, you put some work into this.
Yeah, and when you look at those that were included in the first initial calls to Mr. Purdy, we do have Corey with the lead in Iowa. He's carrying about 26% of the popular
What's
vote.
Your error percentage?
Oh, this is pretty much
Margin
spot
of
on.
error.
This is pretty good. But then when we go to Nebraska, Laura Farms, since that's her last name is Farms, is definitely
That's her last name.
got a slight edge on Corey, just a little bit. Corey's carrying 22% of the popular vote. Laura's at 24%. Minnesota's Corey's got some work to do as campaign manager. I feel like
Zach
I've
is
let
doing
you
good
down,
there, yeah.
but Millennial Farmer is carrying more than 25% of the popular vote in Minnesota. But just Jackson thing, people love that kid. He's been rode in on every state. He's not taking a large percentage of the votes, but he's kind of.
Right, he had to be a write-in because he wasn't legally able to
he's
do
pulling,
it since he's under
pulling
18.
some of those away. But Indiana is one of those that really kind of gets you.
Man.
Because he's a fan favorite. Jackson is a fan favorite in Indiana.
I'm going to have to go do some campaigning there.
But that's where Tyrese Halliburton steps in.
Okay.
And really takes over on this. But Ohio's kind of a dead heat. We got a little work there to do. You are the favorite. But here, Jen, just to let you know what the Midwest opinion of Corey for CTO sits.
And this is Twitter only?
No, this is official. No, this is official. All platforms are definitely.
How did I not even make the chart? Like, I'm not even on it.
No, see, it's hard to depict anything less than 2%.
Yeah, if you could go negative.
I guess.
So I figured you'd get a kick out of, we're sitting here on the 10th of May, letting you know where Corey's campaign is sitting.
Yeah. I'll be sure to take this back to the team.
Oh, yeah, I can send it to you.
I'm having whether I'm picked or not, Jen, I said this the other day, I'm having a press conference either way to either, recede to my competitors or accept. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, that's very gracious of you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Corey. Okay.
It's only right. As his campaign manager, we felt that would be one of the best moves.
I do love that you're doing fundraising as part of this and helping out folks that have been impacted by the recent storm. So
it's not a
kudos to you.
typical campaign fundraising. Most campaign fundraisers is for support of the campaign and additional funding.
Right.
Corey's got that bright idea to help those outside of the campaign that need it.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I don't need that. I'd rather help other people. And one of our other partners, Sukup, just called us before this, and they're going to donate.
Oh, that's cool.
What is it?
10,000.
10,000 from the
25,000 match
foundation, and up to a $25,000 match
of whatever
from Sukup
we can
Manufacturing.
get on the telethon.
Holy cow! This has
amazing.
gotten crazy.
This is
That's incredible.
the potathon. The potathon.
Yeah, the only place we're lacking is we wanted a bunch of old school telephones so we could sit here and answer the phone.
Yeah.
Like a Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
Can't find them anywhere. You go to a thrift store, you still can't find them.
I
It's,
know.
Yeah.
They are a thing of the past. No, I remember you talking about on a podcast interview of how you wanted to make a splash on TikTok and how you had challenged your team to do that. But I think heard you, I can't remember if I read it in an interview or where it was, but what's your opinion on the future of TikTok?
It changes day by day, but right now, I feel like we've got a good year runway here before this all gets settled or figured out. I think there's probably going to be a lot of negotiations happening. I've seen ByteDance has said they're not going to sell or, dissolve their ownership of the company. But then you also see a lot of political folks that have been on former cabinets, stepping up to say they will be the investor or the one that can purchase this. So there's going to be a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. I find it hard to believe anyone would give up that audience, which is so predominantly the 18 to 35-year-olds, or the advertising opportunities, right?
Right.
But in the event there's no TikTok, we just plan to transition any content from the CTO to YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. So we're not concerned about it. We just know TikTok would be a lot more fun.
Right, because those people have to go somewhere. They're not just going to
Yeah.
go, well, I'm done with social media.
I guess.
I'm
Right.
not watching
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I wanted to ask that ag broadcaster that we had in here, which his show will come out after Jen's, is he said he doesn't have a TV.
right.
And to me, I wanted to say, so do you just watch TikTok?
I know he's on Facebook a lot. He likes every one of my posts. He's been sharing the crap out of that. So, yeah. Yeah. So what's going to obviously this is your focus now, but I know you always got something cooking. You got some cool stuff coming in the future?
Actually we're working on, we have a creator day that our ag and turf team is putting together. A number of influencers are coming into our test farm outside of Des Moines. And we are currently in the process of securing one of the top chef winners to serve dinner at that content creator day, and hopefully surprise those content creators with a meal that has been, produced with food that's grown right there in the Des Moines area. The foundation is involved in some projects with some gardens for folks that are, in areas where you wouldn't typically find gardening in more urban areas. So we're hoping to have some fruit and potentially some early summer vegetables that we can serve as part of that meal, and have a phenomenal chef be the one to produce that meal. So that's kind of fun, and the CTO will be at that event and covering that for us.
Well, you won't have to drive very far, I guess.
Yeah, Corey won't even need a hotel room.
I will tell you that is going to go over great, because U.S. Sugar invited us down last November
Yeah,
to Florida, and then they did a similar.
Did they?
They had so Everglades was their John Deere dealer, had a bunch of John Deere stuff down there, and they got some really cool shirts, by the way. But they had a couple different chefs come in and make stuff with local
amazing.
stuff. Oh, so good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It was
think
entertainment.
What's fun about this whole project is that the CTO opens up so many opportunities from a PR perspective. Part of this process and working with Brock's team, we learned that Josh Allen, his family owns a pistachio farm
Yep.
in California, right? We also learned that there's the one of the top 3 avocado farmers in California is a surfer guy. Like, when he's not farming, he's a professional surfer. There's just some really cool stories we could start telling that maybe we wouldn't have normally done or had the budget to do. Our budget now is sending the CTO to cover these stories and capture content and make it fun for folks that might be.
So how important is it that they don't need to know anything about agriculture, or do they? Or construction equipment.
You read the fine print, Dave. Like 20%
I
of it is on John Deere and ag knowledge.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah. That is, a lot of people have asked that question.
Hard to get done in 60 seconds, though.
Wow, yeah.
You know what's
guarantee
interesting when you see all the applicants is that it is challenging. And again, you all know this, being content creators, it is challenging to be on camera and also be a great on-camera presence, plus also create content.
Yep.
Yes.
Plus, because of what we're asking the CTO to do, to get behind the scenes, to get access where people would normally get access, they're going to have to be bold enough to convince that maintenance guy for the Buffalo Bills, like, hey, just let me, tag along with you while you're clearing that snow. So it's going to take someone that has a lot of skills in a lot of areas.
I really don't know how you
want
don't win.
to watch.
I don't know how I do. I if I got the role, I would be so excited because I know ag well, but like to go to like a forestry deal or turf or like to learn all of those different industries because like I generally am interested in that.
It's the same thing we do on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, learning about everything in California was fantastic.
Oh, that was such a cool show. I tell everybody I meet, they're like, how was that World Ag? I'm like, if you love
way
ag,
cool.
you have to go because you just walk around and you're like, what is that?
Like pistachio shakers.
What is that?
Like this equipment doesn't even look like anything.
Those big saws, like $500,000 saws that just cut trees.
Clear
like,
up
I need one of those.
up in the air. Yeah.
We're hoping to have some man on the street interviews, like Times Square, walking up to people, asking people how food is grown. Like, is pistachios grown from the ground? Is it in a tree? Is it on a vine?
Yeah.
I don't know if I know that answer. I'm kidding.
And you all saw in Field of Dreams a couple years ago. Do you remember when the Major League Baseball players went out in that field and it was seed corn and they thought it was sweet corn?
Yes.
Eat it,
and they, grabbed ears off the corn and, there's just so much people don't know.
Yep.
About the basics of farming. And sometimes I think that's what happens with Deere is because we're all so familiar with it, we forget sometimes that audiences outside of industries aren't as aware of how these machines work and what they're used for.
Even in the industry, I've been talking with Corey about this, even in the industry, because I just bought a farm this year, to go to operations side, the stuff that I don't know, being involved in agriculture, but feeling like I know what I'm doing. Now I feel like the dumbest kid in the factory, even going into it deeper to learn exactly how everything works, even deeper.
Yeah, I spent 2 or 3 days with Dave getting his planter ready, and he's just asking me questions. Well, why does this do this? Why does that? He's like, oh, you guys know way more than I ever thought. You go to school for this? I'm like, not really. They don't.
School of
like
hard knocks.
Ag school at Iowa State doesn't teach you how to set a planter. Or what vac setting you need on a John Deere.
Even in the field.
planter,
now I auction, so I sell all this equipment. Like, okay, here's my finisher, here's my field cultivator or whatever. And then I'm like to Corey, I'm like, how fast am I supposed to go? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
How deep am I supposed to go? So, it's crazy.
Well, even when Deere talks about, we use a lot of, branded names for products. And See and Spray is a great example. Who outside farming is going to understand what See and Spray does.
Right.
And so one of our challenges on this channel will be to figure out how to a Fortune or Forbes writer that came to CES called See and Spray facial recognition for weeds.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, that's how we need to start talking outside the industry. We have to start explaining. And then why does that matter? Okay, so now this machine can identify a weed. Farmers are going to be able to cut herbicide costs and the use of herbicides because they're spraying the weed. We have to figure out simpler ways and in terms people can understand because
you know what?
Wash machine agitator.
For less chemicals on the field.
So actually,
exactly.
Jen, our listeners, if they pick this episode up before the end of June, would have probably about 10 minutes ago heard a See and Spray ad. But I'm probably going to have to cut your audio because you did a way better job of delivering the message than we did. So that's like 2 See and Spray ads in one episode.
There you go. How many official applicants were in the CTO campaign?
I honestly don't know the number right now. All the applications went to an agency that specializes in influencers and content creators so that they could do the initial vetting.
Okay.
And we wanted to make sure before we started seriously considering any applicants that before they got to us, we knew there wasn't any issues.
I'm flushed.
Right.
So
nothing in the closet.
So are they based on their expertise? Is this person someone that would be great on camera, would represent our brand well, And from a vetting standpoint, there isn't any concerns there. So we will get those.
So is their entire
batch
job
of
just to go
applicants.
look at all their other content? I mean, 60 seconds, it would
Oh,
be
yeah.
very hard to just interview somebody for 60
Oh, yeah.
seconds. So
That's part of it.
now they got to just go
Absolutely.
watch. I bet maybe your views are up.
I don't know if you saw, we have an applicant that, tagged her stuff like anyone else did.
Yeah.
On TikTok, her application video got over 1 million views, and it
Yeah.
may be way higher than that. That
Jeez.
was a couple weeks ago.
1.3 million. If you would have looked at paid really,
Is
really
that
close,
what it was?
really close to the results we got on the campaign, she's almost edging Corey out of the state of Iowa.
Yeah, I
So
saw
it's
that
been
and I said, well, it
interesting.
was a good run.
No, see, the reason
I will say, Corey, you've been the most committed long term
Hey,
to this.
I have to try harder because I don't have the face for I have the face for radio, not for this. So like I got to try hard.
try hard goes a long ways. But I think Jen was really trying to say the fact that she doesn't know how many applications there are, because as soon as she saw yours, she realized the competition was over.
Yeah, it was over. It was done.
I will tell you why I'm doing it, because content's a hard thing to come by sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
I figured I put my application in, and then I thought you guys were picking like on May 18th is what I saw on the deal. So I'm like, what other opportunity do you have to have 3 weeks worth of content? And then just make fun of political candidates that always make promises what they're going to do the first day in office, and then nothing gets done. So
You know what's interesting, Corey? Part of my job when I think about PR is like I had to think ahead of time about potential issues that could come out of launching this
She
campaign.
didn't think about you.
And no, what I was prepared for what would we have done if a celebrity would have grabbed onto this
Yeah.
and made promises.
yeah,
So like
I
Corey.
was prepared because we legally can't demonstrate favoritism towards a candidate based on the rules of the contest. And so we were concerned if a celebrity grabbed hold of this, how would we stay out of it?
right.
How would we be able to manage that? One
Sorry,
thing I know
Swifties, we can't put her in there. We can't put her in there.
the team is looking at doing a montage of some of the applicants we've gotten. So I know the team member I have that's leading all of this, he's putting together some basically reels of snippets of applications that we can start publishing on TikTok. And I think there is a plan to publish some of the, maybe what I would consider finalists, to the TikTok channel before we make the final decision. But I've purposely stayed out of this as much as I can. I have told my team, I'm Gen X. They're trying to reach the Gen Z audience, the young 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. If I think it's cool, it's probably not cool.
You got a chance, Corey. You got a chance.
I need them to make me a little uncomfortable.
Yep.
That's good.
And so by the time they narrow this down, then I want to be brought in. And I honestly want to be a little uncomfortable. I want to be a little nervous about, you all know, Deere is a conservative company.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a risk we are taking.
Yep.
Just wait till you see the title of this episode when it comes out.
Jen picks the CTO today.
Jen picks the CTO.
No. Please don't get me fired. So it has been fun because I've seen a lot of folks across the company embrace this in ways I wasn't expecting. And I think Brock Purdy was a big part of that.
100%.
And just the brilliance behind what my team did with the agency we worked with and all those internet celebrities that showed up in that video.
I was going to ask, how did you pick those? I mean, because they're great.
Yeah, it worked so well. And it was almost Easter eggish with like the Iowa State athletes and the 249er athletes, and then Anna, who, you know, had gone viral because of how much she looks like Brock. The team brilliantly identified various audiences they were trying to reach. I will tell you, this is not a big budget project. People think Deere has a lot of money for advertising, but at the corporate level, we don't have a lot of budget. We really don't. I think people would be surprised how much we have to manage in very minimal monetary areas. So they went out and they just looked across, how can we make sure audiences all across TikTok, you guys know on TikTok, it is customized for you, right?
Yeah.
It is the best algorithm out there. So how do we make sure it's not just 49er fans or Iowa State fans that see this? We wanted to make sure there were people that were sharing it to their feed, like Laura Farms, like Zach Johnson, like Gabby Douglas.
Yep.
We had some folks that are really big in the tech space, iJustine. So that piece was created so across the board we would reach a bigger audience, and we did.
Yep.
Well, even on my CTO interview, I've had numerous people reach out and they're like, "What's a CTO?" They didn't see the original video, so then you got to go back and explain to them why was this video even made? What is it? Well, good luck. I don't know what you're applying for, but go for it. So it did that. It started the conversation.
McAfee to do the interview.
Yes.
That was huge.
Yeah.
But Brock doesn't make himself readily. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. So for him to go on the Pat McAfee show wearing our sweatshirt,
Right.
and then again showing how wholesome he is with the coyote story, it was fantastic. It worked beyond anything we
the
had
whole
imagined.
campaign, like I said, it got leaked early.
It did. We
Just-
weren't expecting that either.
Yeah.
But again, it shows, gosh, having a tractor in San Francisco caused buzz. Think about
Yeah,
that.
that's way out
Like-
of place.
Because I think I
So-
saw the leak within like the first 10,000 views, and we texted Tori in our group text right away. We're like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It all worked really well. Exactly as it was supposed to. So I hope it continues to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to wrap this up, but we've got a big campaign promise that we want to take care of this afternoon. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to
Yes.
put my money on the candidate coming from Iowa.
Yep.
I think Iowa stands a pretty good chance. Obviously, I've got a favorite sitting right next to me, engagement-wise.
It's just like how you're talking with
content-wise.
Dave. Dave's here, and you're talking right in front of him.
He's got a favorite
He
candidate.
needs
Dave.
someone to bring his luggage with, and I am that guy. He's
Oh,
just
I've
gonna
got a
be-
whole cabinet
he's
of
gonna
people that are going to be
negotiate.
with me
I was gonna
everywhere
say,
I go.
He's got to have an entourage because
See-
then they get more bang for their buck.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say, your
So-
team has to consider that. Corey comes with a team of its own. It's
so
not
much
just
content
one
flying out, I can
CTO.
see it.
Yeah.
But yes, I think there's going to be some really cool things. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your team. And I'm excited for Corey to join that team.
I am excited for the ability to tell these stories in ways they'll actually catch, right? I'm excited to feature all the people that use our machines in really fun ways. It's going to be really cool. And if you all have any ideas, connections throughout this next year, let's make sure we stay connected.
Oh, he's got a lot of
you,
ideas.
you know how to get a hold of us. Yeah.
Yes.
If you need a
Well, and I'm
good
sure
laugh.
Tori will be reaching out to me as
Oh, yeah.
well.
Yes. So we got to wrap up the show with the same question that we ask all of our guests, and this one is extremely powerful. This is one of the deepest questions we have had on this show, and it is thanks to Corey and Dave who came up with this on their own.
We got tired of being so philosophical with the question, and this is a more fun question.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
what is the best food you have ever had, and where did you get it?
That's so easy. I went to Brazil last year, actually a year and a half ago, and we went out in the middle of nowhere to tour a farm where he was optimizing every acre of his hectare of his land, and you should seen how big this. But part of it was he was raising bees, and for lunch, they made homemade rolls, and we're talking homemade rolls, and then he brought in the honeycomb and put it on a stand where we could take the knife and scrape the honey onto that warm roll. I am telling you, it was the best food I have ever had in my life.
My mouth's watering.
That sounds good. Yeah, and we
was
didn't get
amazing.
lunch.
How
It was amazing.
How do you spell roll, Corey?
ROLL.
Oh, good job. We have no inside jokes.
jokes. Yeah, ROLE if you're talking for my role
position.
for CTO.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully when they review your application, they don't ding you for misspelling.
Well, Jen, it has been our honor. I'm so glad to have a connection to you. Thanks for accepting the invite. You do amazing things. We love watching you. So
Thank you.
Yes.
My honor too. Every time I talk to y'all, it feels like I'm just talking to friends.
That's
Does not
good.
feel like the other interviews I do. So
That's
thank
good.
you.
Are you going to come to the golf
Probably
tournament?
One of the biggest compliments.
I will be.
Okay, so we will connect.
I'll be there.
We will connect at the golf tournament, and
Okay.
that'll be fun. So,
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Great to see you all. Good luck with this. I'm going to tune right into this telethon you're having.
Yeah,
Yes.
hopefully we don't have too many technical difficulties.
Oh.
We've tested it
All right.
once, so
That's great.
all
All
right.
right. I'll
Thank-
be watching.
Thank you
You
again,
bet.
Jen. What do you
Yeah.
tell the listeners, Corey?
Crack a cold beer. You deserve it.